Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our HobbyWing Brushless combo unboxing, review and fitting. So let's get straight into it and fit this system onto our Tamiya TT-02. As you hopefully saw in my initial TT-02 unboxing video, the car came with the original 22 tooth pinion gear, but it did not come with a grub screw. So I bought this 24 and 25 tooth gear set to try, which also has 2 grub screws. Here you can see the difference in size between the 22, 24 and 25 tooth pinion gears as a little comparison. But in this video I will be using the stock 22 tooth pinion that came with the car, and I will be using this set just for the screws. So let's move on to the fitting of this motor. To mount the motor to the car, you first want to get access to the spur gear by removing the 4 screws holding this plate on. Remove this and you get access to both the spur gear and the motor mount. As you can see here. Next, you will want to remove the motor mount so you can attach it to the motor in the correct position. To remove the mount, there are 2 screws under the chassis that you need to completely remove, which will release the mount. And with these removed, the motor should just pull out. It might be a bit tight, so give it a little bit of a wiggle. Again, like you saw in my initial unboxing of this car, this is the upgraded aluminium motor mount, as opposed to the stock plastic one. But also, this is the upgraded high-speed 68 tooth spur gear from Tamiya, as opposed to the stock 70 tooth one that comes with the car. Now, to fit the actual motor to the mount, you need to know what spur gear and pinion gear you are running to locate the mount in the right position and mesh the gears properly. With this motor mount, you are limited to 5 positions, which is great because it means you don't have to mess around setting the gear mesh. If you look at this piece of paper, which is supplied with the motor mount, you can see that with a 22 tooth pinion and 68 tooth spur, we need to use position E on the mount, giving us a gear ratio of 8.04 to 1. There are 6 holes on the motor, meaning you can change its orientation to have it facing whichever way you want. For this model, because of the limited space on either side, I want the wires on the motor to be facing up. Position the motor where you want it and put the screws in the holes as specified on the piece of paper, making sure the screws are directly opposite each other. Before you tighten anything up, make sure the mount is seated and positioned correctly. And when you're happy with this, make sure everything's tight. And you're done with this stage. Next thing to do is to fit your pinion gear. It's worth noting that on this car you can't fit the pinion gear without removing the mount, because there's not enough space for it to slip out. So get out your brand new grub screw and put it into the gear. I'm not using Loctite here because I would probably be changing the pinions a few times later on. Get the motor and put the gear onto the shaft, making sure the grub screw is located on top of the flat bit of the shaft. and you don't want to fully tighten it yet until you know the position of where you need the pinion to be in relation to the spur gear, and you will want them to be parallel. And once you have the pinion where you want it, you can go ahead and tighten up the grub screw. With this done, all you need to do now is secure the motor mount back into position using the 2 screws below the chassis. Making sure they're tight. Make sure everything's running smoothly and none of the gears are sticking or getting jammed. And finally, go ahead and put the gear protector shield back on with 4 screws. And that's it for fitting the motor to the TT-02. It's really simple, there's no need to mesh the gears or adjust anything. And that is one of the simplicities of the TT-02. So if this was helpful, please subscribe. I won't be fitting the speed controller unit until I have the servo and receiver, so I know how much space I have to play with, but I will be showing where and how to install this in the next videos in this series. So make sure you check back very soon. Hope you enjoyed. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and thank you for watching.